Saludos amigos, los invitamos a escuchar La Mesa Redonda, The Round Table, donde discutimos los temas del día, hablando de política, educación y otros temas, locales, regionales y mundiales, por USA la Radio. Señores oyentes de USA la Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda, The Round Table. Desde el corazón del barrio hispano en la ciudad del amor fraternal, from the heart of the Hispanic neighborhood in the city of brotherly love. We have so much love. We have two sculptures. One says love and the other one says amor by Robert Indiana. That's how much love we have to distribute to the world. Les habla Fernando Mendez en compañía de Johan Bermúdez, manejando el tablero con una habilidad increíble como de costumbre. Y luego nos acompaña hoy periodista, poeta, traductora, intérprete, artista de todos los medios, doña Leticia Rodingson. Leticia, bienvenida.
Muchas gracias, Fernando. Buenos días a todos nuestros radio oyentes aquí en Usala.
Bueno, después de esta introducción, tienes que impresionarnos con tu sabiduría en el día de hoy. Bueno, yo, sin bromas, yo quiero hacer un recuento de el año político, entre otras cosas, ¿no? No es lo único que hay que hablar. Porque, por ejemplo, podemos hablar de los Águilas, de Eagles, ¿no? O como dicen en South Philly, Eagles. So, they won, ganaron. En algún momento se creía que primero iban a 7-7, luego 10-10, luego 17-17. Parecía que estaban tornándose en marcar touchdowns, pero al fin y al cabo los Eagles ganaron. Entonces todo el mundo estaba celebrando ayer una victoria contra los gigantes de Nueva York, the Giants. Y de este modo eliminaron no solamente a los Giants, que ya estaban eliminados creo, pero Dallas también, Dallas Cowboys, otro enemigo tradicional de los Eagles. Y eso es todo lo que voy a decir de deportes por el momento, a menos que sea fútbol, soccer. Ahí podemos hablar de otras cosas. Pero hoy no está Darío Belor, que se le gusta hablar del fútbol. A ver si Darío nos está escuchando y nos dice algo sobre el fútbol. Bueno, Leticia, dime una noticia importante del año local.
¿Del año local aquí en Filadelfia?
Sí.
Bueno, pues dos, la reelección del alcalde James Kenney, fue reelecto para otros 4 años. Aquí.
Eso no fue ninguna sorpresa, ¿no?
Pero fue, pues es entre las principales noticias, nunca se sabe.
¿Quién se opuso a él?
Ay, creo que era una republicana, ¿no?
Sí, una señora. Nadie sabe el nombre de ella, por eso precisamente está.
Por eso ganó él, ¿no? Pero entre las noticias locales que creo que fue muy importante, Fernando, muchos inmigrantes cuando llegan aquí trabajan o en construcción, en restaurantes, lavando platos, pero muchos otros trabajan cuidando niños y haciendo las labores domésticas en casa de alguien que les pague. Y creo que una noticia local muy, muy importante fue la aprobación de la ley de tener más derechos para todos estos empleados domésticos, para niñeros, para quienes brindan cuidado médico, porque como tú sabes, pues están desprotegidos, no hay días feriados, hay mucho trabajo y muchas veces, por ejemplo, los de construcción tienen la desventaja de que a veces los contratan por el día, los jornaleros, y después no les pagan, ¿no? Entonces se aprobó una ley en que van a tener más derechos, esto fue en octubre y va a entrar en vigor en mayo, y son miles y miles de empleados domésticos aquí en Pensilvania. Han seguido el modelo de otros estados como en Nueva York y lo que sea, pero pues un saludo muy cordial a Nicole Kligerman, que es la directora de esta coalición, para que tuvieran estos derechos los empleados domésticos y niñeros, y también para María Díaz, mexicana, que también fue muy combatiente, estuvo también tomando otros cursos, o yendo a Nueva York para realmente enterarse cómo ellos han logrado sus derechos.
Muy bien. No, eso sí es una noticia importante, no las noticias triviales que yo tengo generalmente. No, de veras que con una conciencia social, estas gentes que se han dedicado a ayudar a inmigrantes que nadie más se va a preocupar por ellos, ¿no?
Es cierto.
Y estas dos señoras que acabas de mencionar, señora Kligerman y María
Díaz.
Díaz, así podemos invitarlas. ¿Ah? Estás encargada de eso y hacemos un show con ellas
Claro que
dos y
sí.
tú vienes.
Sí,
Me
sería
parece muy
excelente.
bien. Y tú me dices cuándo y hacemos algo muy importante, porque esto es, hay que darles un alto perfil a ellas, no solo por lo que están haciendo, sino porque de tal modo también podemos ayudar el asunto, a promover esto de los derechos y que se enteren más y más inmigrantes de que tienen estos derechos, que muchos que no saben.
Claro que sí, es cierto. Como es tan reciente la aprobación de esta ley, no muchas personas están enteradas, para que también no cese el abuso al inmigrante. Como tú sabes, es la amenaza de que te voy a reportar o le voy a llevar a la migra para que te lleven. Entonces viven realmente en zozobra mientras están trabajando, buscando trabajo.
Sí. Y ese es la confrontación de esta ciudad y otras ciudades con esto del santuario, ciudad santuario, para desobedecer la ley federal en cierto sentido, que parece una ley inhumana, que va en contra de los derechos humanos, va en contra de lo que este país siempre ha representado. Es un abrazo a seres humanos de todas partes del mundo, pero que es un mensaje que ha cambiado en estos últimos años. Se ha desaparecido ese mensaje de los brazos abiertos a otra cosa. Entonces como ya sabemos, terminan en prisiones en el sur de Estados Unidos. Esa para mí es una de las noticias del año también. Estos inmigrantes que llegaron aquí pidiendo asilo y lo que se encontraron fue una jaula de hierro ahí en el sur de Estados Unidos. La mayoría de ellos mexicanos, guatemaltecos, hondureños, salvadoreños, acusados muchos de ellos de ser criminales. Y es posible que haya un grupo de gentes criminales mezclado con este grupo. Pero el grupo no se trata de eso, es todo lo contrario, ¿no? Y muchos de ellos corriendo, tú sabes, escapándose de situaciones increíbles en sus países, amenazados de muerte. Y eso es, a eso llegan aquí. Porque no es simplemente que son, no es una migración económica necesariamente siempre, es política, social, con el asunto de las drogas. Así que eso es algo muy serio.
Sí, esa fue la noticia también más importante en cuestiones de inmigración. Hay 5.550 niños que fueron separados de sus padres. Los padres están en sus países de origen. No se sabe por qué no anotaron a dónde los llevaron. Están perdidos en los Estados Unidos, 5.550. Creo que el más joven, de 4 meses, fue arrebatado de los brazos de su padre, que venía de Europa. Y también, como tú dices, pues también el número de familias que están en santuario físico. Hay 3 familias acá en Filadelfia, que es Carmen de Artillero con sus 4 hijos, ella es del estado de Guerrero de México. Y como tú dijiste, uno nunca sabe, yo no sabía, bueno, sí sé, de que el narcotráfico, los narcotraficantes, la violencia ha escalado en los últimos años en México a un nivel increíble. De hecho, Carmen Artillero, como tú dices, era víctima de alguien que les cobra ahora por, hace cuenta, una tarifa. Si tú ganas en tu tienda o si tú eres taxista, pasan, y si no, te levantan, lo levantaron. Esto quiere decir que o lo torturaron, lo asesinaron, lo desaparecieron. Y de hecho le pasó a la familia biológica de Carmen de Artillero, se vino acá, se entregó cruzando la frontera, le pusieron el famoso grillete o monitor electrónico, está acá en Filadelfia, y ella vio que un paisano, Javier Flores, había estado en el santuario, en la iglesia de la unidad de la iglesia metodista acá de la calle Arch, y que sí salió y le dieron una visa y puede quedarse acá en el país. Y ella pidió ayuda al Movimiento Nuevo Santuario y entró en santuario en la iglesia de Advocate, ahora está en la iglesia menonita. Y la otra familia es la de Suyapa Reyes de Honduras, que vive con 4 hijos también. Estaban en la iglesia de Germantown, United Methodist Church in Germantown. Ahora están en otra, en ese mismo vecindario. Ella va a cumplir 1 año ya en mayo de estar en santuario, no puede poner un pie afuera de la iglesia. Y Carmen, 2 años. Y la tercera familia es jamaiquina, y como tú dijiste, allá también hay violencia y amenazaron y les quemaron su finca, su rancho, entonces se vinieron acá y también están en santuario. Neita, también Luis y su esposo Clive.
Y eso sin tener en cuenta lo de las madres de Berks, que tanto tiempo llevan ahí, muchas de ellas. Yo estaba siguiendo sus problemas por mucho tiempo a través de, cuando tenía mi programa en el Sol, con Z, el Sol Radio. Pero bueno, vamos a tomar una breve pausa aquí en USA la Media. En la mesa redonda les habla Fernando Mendez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero, y estamos hablando con Leticia Roa Nixon sobre las noticias principales de este año. Regresamos en un momento.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you'll go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. And even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, Maria, and she convinced me to continue my education. Just never judges. She's a true role model. From the depths of my heart, I thank you, Maria, for being a friend and a beautiful person. No one receives a diploma alone, and I'm honored to share this moment with you. Thank you. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Because of you, I feel not alone in this world. And you let me know that it only takes one person to make you feel wanted.
Señores oyentes de USA la Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda, The Round Table. Desde el corazón del barrio hispano en la ciudad del amor fraternal, les habla Fernando Méndez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero, Leticia Roa Nixon, nuestra invitada especial en el día de hoy, y también pues ha llegado así de sorpresa Martin Pratt, y no sé por qué, pero siempre llega tarde. He doesn't know what I said.
Sí.
Martin, welcome.
Yeah,
Glad to have you, man. I just say
here.
Nice things about you all the
Yes,
time.
I know. That's why I pay you the big bucks.
Hey, where's the check? In the mail, right? I
Right,
know.
exactly.
Yeah.
See.
Anyway, we were covering some of the important news of the year. We spoke about the immigration situation in the city and in the country, because there's local news people who are in
Did you see what Ivanka said?
Three families that Leticia knows about, and then we talk about the border situation with the how many children? 2,000.
5,550 that were separated. They don't know where the parents are. They don't know where the children are, and that's not counting the ones in those cages and detention centers. That
So
that's a different amount of children.
so there is close to 6,000 that are unaccounted for, and
Exactly.
900 that are in the cages.
Yes, sir.
Do you see what Ivanka said
No,
yesterday?
what did she say?
She said that immigration is not in her portfolio.
I,
So the internet
I saw the
took-
headline. I
the
didn't know what it
internet-
was about.
The internet took they just blasted her. They blasted her all kind of ways.
She's too busy.
Right, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
like and she says that the policy stops child trafficking. So they definitely roasted her for that. Like,
Wow.
the government is, it's been a lot of cases of child abuse and sexual abuse in those facilities. So it's, they.
It's abuse of any kind because I mean just the mere fact that they are in prison with all they want to do
Right.
their crime is to ask for asylum.
Right.
How is that
Yeah.
a crime?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel how do I say? I feel there's some other force though working on pushing people to come. Okay, because that just all of a sudden, and I watch the news stories, I watch some of the fictional stories, and I understand, having no options and feeling like I don't want to go into a cartel, or I don't want to go into a rebel force, or I don't want to go into, having those no choice. But it feels a little bit more organized, and I'm not, I'm an independent, I'm not a Democrat or Republican, but I definitely side-eye the liberal side of always trying to make things specifically about evil or good. And there's nuances to me in the immigration. And at the same time, we just learned that Giuliani was going against the administration, trying to
Contacting Maduro directly.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't trust. One side can't trust the liberal side. The other side definitely can't trust, and they don't even know they got two different things happening. I mean, that's always been the policy since the Trump administration started. Is that the international, the global policy is different than whatever he says, because usually you had adults in the room that were trying to do at least some of a traditional policy, but this is just.
So in political terms, you have become Switzerland. You
No,
throw
no,
stones at everybody.
I'm wondering. I actually.
What do you
For
believe?
3 years straight, I helped immigrants get the lottery visa. I actually got 10 families visas in New York. This was like, I want to say 2010, 2009, around there. There used to be the lottery. You took a picture of the person. They had to apply from back home. So they would leave the United States, and when they would tell me when they got back to Africa or they got back to the Caribbean, and they would say, "I'm here. I want to apply." I'd have all that paperwork. I'd submit the paperwork via the internet. So I feel like, and yeah, we definitely charge for them. But it was like $45, something small. It wasn't anything. But what happens? Sometimes people will say, "Oh, my cousin doesn't have any money. Can I?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so from that perspective, I definitely understand the lottery visa system and what the United States policy was. Asylum, I always thought was, not a given, but it was a lot easier than applying through the lottery visa. As far as if you had direct, your life was threatened, you were being pursued by an enemy of the state, you'd had a way going forward. And it feels like for the immigration, even when Bush the son was really trying to get it settled with Dreamers and with everything else, it's this force somewhere. I don't know where, but this is evil force that keeps trying to stop the basic of policies that everybody, conservatives have said okay to, and it's just consistently this force. and maybe it's the people behind Stephen Miller and the VDAR people, and but I just feel like there's this force, and now it feels like somebody pushed a bunch of families who are definitely in need to come across the border at their own risk, which is doesn't feel natural and right.
Well, I tell you one force for sure is that this administration has been an enabler for any kind of racist mentality. And so that's the cover, that's the umbrella for all these positions that different people take. And pretending that it's for the safety of the country on the one hand, that is because too many criminals might come across, that is because because immigrants commit too many crimes. So they will use any excuse to create more and more barriers. There is pressure from outside, obviously, economic pressure and political pressure in Venezuela, economic pressure in Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, and also the violence in those countries. Mexico, the same problem, political problems, but it's a lot of in the northern part of Mexico. Leticia probably can say more about that.
No, but I do agree with Martin that these caravans were organized because I also thought, I mean, anybody with common sense would say, how come there are thousands and thousands coming through Central America and through Guatemala and reaching the United States?
Right, and reaching. That's a good point. Yeah, yeah.
How come? Somebody is behind them, somebody is helping them. It's not like, as you say, let's start walking because, of course, there's violence, there's poverty, and that's it. And they grab their babies and come. No, there was an organizer, and I don't have the name right away, the tip of my tongue, but he decided to organize the people in caravans, and there were like 3 or 4, which is very unusual, and that's part of the news and doing the summary of what's been going on in the world that was highly organized. Now, I do agree with you, Martin, that to me, what I feel, the sense is of evil. Is evil in this. Stephen Miller, for example, no?
Yes.
He's the main one. The people who follow orders indiscriminately from Donald Trump, we've never seen so much pain, so much um, um, I mean, disruption of society, and not only for the immigrants. It's just like Trump has been really well known for cutting everything. Cutting funds for education, for art and culture, for environment, for everything. As in, he's destroying the quality of life.
Homelessness is increased. He makes fun of the homeless. Oh, not makes fun, but he likes to. What's my word? He likes to call out California and New York like he did this weekend and say New York and California better get its act together with homeless. But I'm not a fan of de Blasio at all. I lived in New York under 2 other mayors, and honestly, I hate to admit it, but New York Giuliani was better than Blasio. But anyway, de Blasio made a good point. He's like, hey, we've lost all Section 8 vouchers. So that, to your point about cutting, you decrease Section 8 vouchers by a stupid Ben Carson, which is whole another issue of idiots. But anyway, and you then say, oh, well, there's an increase of homeless. Of course there's an increase of homeless because the states don't have the ability. And, I think it's, there was an executive director of a new homeless shelter that's being built in Amazon's lobby. Amazon and its corporate headquarters is opening a homeless shelter next year, and it's almost completed. And the executive director of this center, something called Mary's Center, they're not giving them money for operations, which is a whole other issue with nonprofit foundations. But they don't give you money for operations. But they're giving them money for the center, and they're also paying for insurance and everything else. She said that homelessness, in her opinion, especially in Seattle, is increasing because there isn't a collaboration. And so, in other words, it's not just foundations or high net worth individuals or the city or the state or the federal. It needs to be a collaborative effort really to treat this problem. And I think that's valid. I read an article on Sunday's LA Times that talked about 2 homeless people who did receive an apartment, and they were only able to stay in that apartment for 6 months because of the mental health issues they are facing, because of just they knew what to do on the streets. When you transition into a transitional living situation, it's a completely different navigation. So one of the people that they had tents across the street from, one of the store owners, he actually basically in the article said, "I wish they came back because the homeless in that area were controlled by these two individuals. They made sure everybody ate. They made sure the businesses didn't get accosted." And I've thought about that many times. My family has a small business, and I know that the beggar that would come by, we would give him coffee and a donut. And he would call us and tell us somebody was trying to break in last night, or he would contribute theoretically to the ecosystem. When those two people left, crime increased. This guy's 69 years old. He's going to close his business because he's being robbed too much by the homeless that used to be impacted. So it's an interesting situation when you do say, "Okay, we're going to grab homeless people and take them off the street and give them a living," and then you still have no Section 8 vouchers, you have no collaboration, and you have mental health issues, and also I feel like we all are kind of facing different levels of mental health issues with Trump. So you have imposter syndrome because you as a homeless person, you might feel like I don't deserve to be here in this apartment, and I don't think the powers that be have thought of that yet.
Well, not out. I mean, I'm talking about homelessness.
Yes.
I remember at one point when somebody asked one of the activists about how many homeless are in this country. You probably remember that story. It was a decade ago, maybe. And it was in Congress, and he said there were 4.5 million. And so they ran with that number for I don't know how long. But nobody knows for certain. All we know is that there are homeless people everywhere.
And it's increased.
And has increased. And we see them in the streets of Philly.
Oh,
This
yes.
time of the year, it's really depressing because you are sort of trying to be festive, going shopping for a few gifts for your family, trying to ease your conscience by putting pennies in the Salvation Army collection, and then you see all these people lying in the streets.
No, you're right.
Signs and everything.
I was just December 20th was the National Memorial Homeless Day. It has been observed in Philadelphia for 23 years. It was my first time, and it was the coldest night in December.
Well, yeah, right.
And you know how many homeless had died that they knew of? Not that the ones were unaccounted. 300 died, and from all walks of life, from all.
In Philadelphia.
Yes, in Philadelphia, African American, Latinos, whomever, white people. There's no a barrier between that. It's just like it's a human being, and the homeless who were friends of these people who passed away. They had these stories, and it was so touching. I mean, all the time we were crying, but also thinking, how are they going to survive, as you say, so close to Christmas Village where people are shopping, and being the coldest night of the month. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's what I mean by that contrast. It really creates an interior conflict. If you have any kind of conscience, you walk around and say, like, look at this. There's festivities on one side, celebration, music, lights, carousel, and you just look at the ground, and you see somebody lying on a crate. And I see those two contrasting images as the effect it has is depressing to anybody. But
you know what's interesting about Philadelphia? I don't know if we'll take this into a different area of conversation, but our office is right there across the street from City Hall, and so behind me, I guess, is Walnut and other streets behind that, the Graham Building. But anyway, it's weird. I've lived in Atlanta, New York, Chicago, Houston, and you definitely see the same homeless folks in DC. You see the same homeless folks walking around, or if you at your office, you go to your house, you see the same. Get on a train, you start to see similar familiar faces. Philadelphia, I have to say, I'm not saying we don't. I would definitely know we have a homeless problem, but of every city I've lived in, I don't. And maybe it's because I'm not in Kensington, or maybe it's because I'm not in certain parts of North Philly every day. But I don't see. It's like the homeless here aren't necessarily out in the park or out on the like every. You're right about the Christmas Village, but as I go past Christmas Village, I go to, let's say, 30th Street station. I'm not saying they're not inside the station, but outside, and then University City, they're not necessarily there. And then as I get closer to West Philly, I don't even in some sections of West Philly where I go deep in, I know that people are living in poverty. I don't see them outside on the street per se. You follow what I'm saying?
Oh, they are. I'm telling you, I walk between Rittenhouse Square and Broad Street,
Right.
Walnut,
Yes.
Chestnut,
Right.
and almost every corner
Right.
on the sidewalks,
Right.
you have somebody begging, somebody who looks destitute.
Right. And I'm wondering, those folks that I see them on a consistent basis, and there aren't people of color, and it feels a little like this is. I'm not saying they're not homeless, but it feels scamish, because I also see this. Sometimes I see the same person at IKEA. When you go down to IKEA and you go down to Home Depot, there's these people that were in Center City. This homeless person that says he has a dog, I'm like, dude, what are you like? How are you getting? I'm not saying you can't get down there, but I just feel like it's. I don't see brown faces in Center City begging, so I think it's a difference between beggars and the actual homeless. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I get suspicious too.
Yeah.
I'm a vet, I need help. That kind of thing. Suspicions. Anyway, for your charity to be more effective, donate to serious entities like the Red Cross, Salvation Army, Taller Puertorriqueño.
Project Home.
For us, for Latinos, we have some entities that we know will do good with whatever donations.
And I think the church system in Philadelphia is very effective.
I thought you were anti-church.
I didn't
So
say I'm anti-church.
what side are you on?
Anti-organized religion. But I think the church system here, what's the church that's in Church of the Church of the Agnes? No, Church of the
Advocate?
Yeah, Church of the Advocate. So places like that, they're actually doing the real work. I think Philadelphia has that. Even being from New York, there was a lot of churches in New York would not give a cent to. But Philly, they actually here.
Church here, Reverend Adam Mairena. I hate to put a plug for him because he doesn't respond to my
Texas
calls to come here.
We have to go there.
Huh?
We have to go there.
We have to go chase him.
Yeah, we have to go. We have to go over there and do a show from the church.
But he's somebody who actually is doing something concrete. And many churches, we understand that. And there are a lot of leaders in this community who are really committed.
Right.
Reverend Cortez, Maria Quiñones, there's people who are doing things.
Right, exactly.
Janine Blackwell, she did.
Not all the politicians are corrupt and venal.
Right.
And that's so we have to give credit to those who are working.
And even the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club here in Philly, all the organizations in Philly, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of organizations in Philly, they are really doing the work. Yeah. Unlike a lot of other cities I've been in where you just don't see them really touching people who really need it.
Yeah, because I do not give money to people in the street who stop me and say we're with such and such organization if I don't even know who they are.
Right.
You don't know where that money's going.
Exactly.
So it's better to target your charity to people you know are going to use it properly.
Yeah, it used to be this newspaper, One Step Away.
Yes, they're magazine now.
The magazine now. Yeah. And they give 75 cents to the person who is the vendor, and 25 goes to that publication. And many of them, after a while, they got a job.
Well, we reached the end of another segment here because Martin talks too much. And
And Fernando allows
We
me.
are involved in this interesting conversation with Martin Pratt, Leticia Roa Nixon, les habla Fernando Mendez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero. Estamos en Usa la Media, la mesa redonda. Regresamos en un momento.
Con el
I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. And even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, Maria, and she convinced me to continue my education. Just never judges. She's a true role model.
From the depths of my heart, I thank you, Maria, for being a friend and a beautiful person. No one receives a diploma alone, and I'm honored to share this moment with you. Thank you.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Mac and the minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
2. Señoras y oyentes de Usa la Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda, desde el corazón del barrio hispano, en la ciudad del amor fraternal. Estamos con Leticia Roa Nixon, periodista, poeta, traductora. No sé cuántos talentos tiene esa señora,
Intérprete.
es increíble, intérprete.
Hola.
Y estamos también con Martin Pratt, Brad Martin Pratt. Y está Johan Bermúdez al tablero, les habla Fernando Mendez.
Johan.
Vamos a continuar aquí con las noticias interesantes de este año. Ya habíamos hablado sobre un par de cosas aquí, but to recap, we're talking about poverty. Estamos hablando de los homeless, del número de personas que no tienen vivienda, que están en las calles pidiendo caridad, dependiendo de la calidad de la gente. Y en esta época de Navidad, que todo el mundo se siente movido a darles dinero, y hay que tener cuidado con a quién le da usted dinero. Hay ciertas entidades que tienen más credibilidad, como la Cruz Roja, y para los latinos pues tenemos nuestro taller puertorriqueño, congreso, que ellos organizan actividades para los pobres. So, Martin,
Sí.
give me the news of the year for you. National, local, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, I actually was really thinking about that in light of what happened on Sunday in Texas. And that's the church shooting that took 2 lives. The daughter of the deacon, who's an African-American woman, has already said she forgives the shooter for killing her father. The news of the year for me is that we have to figure out. Unfortunately, I think we have to become a more secure society. They allowed him to come into church. Security, 2 ex-FBI agents, were watching him because he came in with a hoodie. He looked like he had a fake beard and false hair. And this is a city where it's a suburb of Fort Worth. There was, there was 26 people killed in another church shooting not that far away. So they were hyper alert. He turns around, takes out a long rifle, gun out of his coat pocket. I remember this church about 4 months ago where the deacon refused to allow entry to a white supremacist who was going to shoot up the church. He saw the guy. He said, "Nope, I'm locking it." And he locked the door and called the police, and he wouldn't allow them in. I think, for me, we have to. I personally wouldn't allow that guy to come into church. Like, just there's no. I'll ask him to leave immediately. And so one lady, actually, it's a Hispanic lady, was saying she couldn't pray, she couldn't take communion because she was so nervous about his energy, and she moved her family, and she moved away to a different seat. So like at a certain point, we as a society have to accept that whether it's Trump or sign of the times or whatever you want to call it, there are definitely people being activated who want to kill those of us that just want to pray or want to worship or want to just live. And so we have to act with knowledge. We can't act like we're in this great utopia of America.
We cannot blame Trump for everything, but he certainly has been an enabler for a lot of these
alter reality.
races,
The increase of
feelings, so that people feel entitled to do that,
right?
To commit crimes in the name of maintaining racial purity. We know that, we know who they are, and so a lot of these people are committing crimes of this nature because of that, and they feel entitled. They feel supported from above, from the president.
Right.
So, and I know that he's not the only person. I know all he did perhaps is awaken dormant racist feelings all around the nation, but that's all it took for Adolf Hitler to get a whole race of Germans to commit crimes that we're not able to forget.
I really think, though, as an agent, I think he's being unwittingly or wittingly an agent of Russia. A lot of the rhetoric, especially I don't know if you've been following what's been happening to Jews in New York, but
yes,
these Hebrew Israelites who have predominantly attacked Orthodox or Hasidic Jews, the people that have attacked them, it's not necessarily a policy of the organization of Hebrew Israelites to do this, but they've had this rhetoric for years against Jews and against white people. And so we have these pockets, almost just militia, the Hebrew Israelites, these fringe organizations that all you needed was the right igniter to ignite fires for the fringe organization, the fringe of the fringe, to go out and feel empowered. And I really feel like Russia really has utilized social media and these videos and this rhetoric. Right now, there's in the black community is an argument happening. Oprah Winfrey against people like Boyce Watkins, and she's not contributing to the argument, but there's an argument happening within the community. And before that, there was this argument happening about reparations, because the reparation movement has been co-opted by Russia. So it's like Putin has really figured out how to attack every section of our society that has these friends, these two opposing views, and manipulate that. And anybody that's, I'm not saying weak, but anybody that doesn't necessarily have a full grasp of reality suddenly feels like, these arguments are really real and they should really act on these arguments and attack other citizens. So I do feel like Trump adds, whether he's a full agent or an unwittingly agent, he has been used to ignite that movement of finding people who are, on the fringe and being able to empower them to go kill other people.
Absolutely, because facts are facts. It has escalated in percentage, hate crimes, compared before Trump and after Trump during Trump.
Right.
And as you say, not only in schools, it started these shootings in high schools.
Yes.
Then it moved to attacking Latinos, immigrants.
Yes.
And Walmart is just an example in Texas.
Right.
You are not safe. And if you...
Driving all that way just to find someone to kill.
Exactly. So just recently, a woman just hit with her car a
Yes,
woman because
two
she's
people.
Mexican.
And before that, she had hit a black child, 12-year-old. So she had been hitting people that day. She was driving around, and you see her face. She's definitely someone who's facing mental illness. But how are they finding these people? You don't have to even you can look at people's comments. You can create an algorithm to look at people who leave comments that nobody likes. They're really fringe comments, and you can identify those fringe folks and then send them emails. And they think they're getting talking points from the president or whoever they're whatever their thing is, and you can actually almost activate. They're not even agents anymore. Like sleeper agents. These are actual people who are just regular people who have mental illness, and they're being activated against us as a society. And no one is talking about like how do we deal with the fringe of our society.
And then you have people like Zuckerberg who don't feel any obligation to do anything about this. So anyway, it helps to create this climate in which you feel sort of powerless to change that. How do we change that and also when this president says that he believes Putin, he trusts Putin, and he dismisses the advice of 17 intelligence organizations telling him that it was Putin who interfered in our election in 2016, and that he's doing it right now, that the Russians are doing everything possible, and Putin put out this story that is not him, that is Ukraine. And Trump goes right along with that and says, yes, in fact, it's Ukraine, and we should investigate them. And Biden, and Hunter Biden. Why? I don't know. Anyway, so all this can be very depressing for us. But the political picture right now, let's talk about this, because we had a plethora of candidates, Democratic Party candidates, because I don't think anybody's opposing Trump. Who's running against Trump on the Republican side?
There's two folks.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, we don't even know the names. Anyway,
Right.
So here we are. And then there's that billionaire who's been on the airwaves or how on the television campaigning, Steyer, is it?
You mean Bloomberg? No.
Tom Steyer.
Tom
Tom
Steyer.
Steyer,
Yeah.
And then Bloomberg just arrived on the scene.
Yeah.
And people are dismissing him and making all kinds of
I don't think
negative
they should.
comments.
I don't think
But
they should dismiss
he's got a lot of money to spend on media.
And he's done it in the
we
past.
Know, and we know.
Yeah, and his money fueled the House revolution. We call it the House Revolution. The Democrat revolution in the House. He spent $110 million last year.
He could spend $1 billion and outspent everybody.
And totally beat Trump at his own game.
Yeah, absolutely. So do not dismiss him. In the meantime, let's talk about the other candidates who are there. Remember, it's a long list, but now we have been reduced to basically 4 that were at the top and have maintained, have stayed, and have sustained their campaigns. They have enough money to continue. One of them, the heir apparent, Vice President, former Vice President Joe Biden. So Trump must be feeling threatened by Biden, because otherwise he wouldn't be doing what he's doing with the Ukraine phone call, right? So he must feel threatened.
Or he hates the word Obama Biden. You know what I mean? He hates Obama. So I actually think it's more of that than he feels threatened. I don't think he wants a job, actually.
Well, I have a question for Martin, because I just found out the African American voters, I mean, they are on the side of Biden. Is that true? Why are they supporting Biden?
As opposed to Kamala Harris, for instance.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, so it's being in journalism. It's really difficult for me to accept the numbers that people are talking about. My business partner is a political analyst and a political strategist, and so we have this conversation almost weekly. What are the real numbers of African Americans that are really going to come out and vote? 1, and then 2, are they going to vote for Biden because the youth want Bernie? And so no one is talking about that. And then a lot of the young Obama folks who were in the White House are actually supporting Mayor Pete.
Mm-hmm.
So it's even his personal assistant Reggie Love just came out and supported Mayor Pete. So the progressive LGBTQ community and the progressive Black community somewhat are competing against each other for whether it's Elizabeth Warren, Sanders, or Pete, and then you have the super voter, the older folks who will just go and do Biden. But I think that the Black community, whoever the nominee is, they will definitely support the nominee, and in record numbers, whoever that nominee is.
Right.
But I also think, to your point about the four, I think we have, Andrew Yang has ignited something in the hip hop community with his.
He doesn't stand a chance.
I agree. But what I'm saying is that
I don't want to spend time on him. So let's move on to the
well.
other candidates.
But I think he's going to be a vice president. I think he's going to be a pick.
No, he's not going to be.
You don't think he's going to be a vice president?
No.
Yeah, okay.
He's going to disappear quickly.
I don't think so.
He's going to wait.
Okay.
I think that, look, the potential vice president
Yes.
for right now
Yes.
is Kamala Harris. And Mayor Pete is the other one.
Kamala can't
Mayor Pete has a problem with the.
Both of them have a problem.
Yeah, well, Mayor Pete has a big problem. The country's not ready. I'm sorry, the country's not ready for that.
And so Kamala, let me tell you, the Black community, the average Black person,
she's not Black enough.
Not that.
No,
she
what?
put people in jail.
In jail.
That's
but
one.
that was her job.
No, but that's
But that was
she
her
shouldn't
job.
run. She shouldn't run. And this is the thing. The women that supported Hillary and told Hillary what to do, the Black women and the collective and all that,
You do Putin's job.
Donna Brazile and all of them
Yeah.
believe in Kamala. The regular Black folk are like, no, because of her job.
But that was her job.
Right, and she chose that. She went to college to do that. It's like she went to. It's just like if a Hispanic person became, who was the guy, the little short guy that was part of Bush's administration. He was Mexican, and every Latino I talked about hated him. He had the salt and pepper hair. He I can't remember his name, but he was directly affecting policy on
Cisneros? No.
Yeah, it was one of the. I'll find him.
Cisneros.
But every Latino I talked to was like, oh, that he was definitely somebody that was considered Uncle Tom in the Hispanic community. That's Kamala. Kamala is not accepted by the average Black person. She tries to be. She's almost like a Black Hillary Clinton, actually.
But didn't she retire from the race because she didn't have enough funding?
And also she was not reaching folks.
Right.
She would host these things on campuses. She would host these conversations with Black college students, and no one would show up. Mm-hmm. She's not. She has a resume. Her pedigree sounds right for the old school. Not the old school Black folks, but I'm saying even old school Black people don't trust. We don't really trust law enforcement people. That's just part of our nature. We just don't
I still think she's potentially a serious.
And I think it'd be a big mistake if someone chose her.
Well, that's your opinion.
Yes, it is.
Our predictions for the race
let's predict for the race. Yeah.
An all-white team.
That's
what it's going to be. It's going to be an all-white team. It's not going to be
one.
any person of color.
True.
Yeah.
Well, that's precisely why there should be one member of the team that is like Kamala Harris or even Mayor Pete, I would say.
I can see it being Attorney General. I can see she coming on as U.S. Attorney General. I can see that.
That's possible.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, everybody would like that. Everybody would be okay. Yeah, cool. Because then we want her to put Trump in jail. So that it's great.
Okay,
So
let's hear Leticia.
I personally, I'm not going to vote unless he's the nominee for Joe Biden. And they said, well, he's going to face Trump. He can beat Trump, or Trump even thinking he's the competition. I don't think so. And Bloomberg has the money and has the vote. And yes, he did the stop and frisk. He apologized too late, too little. But I think we need somebody really strong to beat Trump. Because last election, I voted for Hillary because she was a nominee, not because I thought she was the best candidate.
Exactly.
So that's your prediction?
Yes.
Bloomberg
I think so, too.
and X as a vice president. I still think it's Kamala Harris. I don't think it's going to beat. Bloomberg is not going to pick Mayor Pete.
No,
to be
no.
his teammate. So we, or some other person we haven't even mentioned here, one of the governors, another senator.
Amy Klobuchar?
No, she doesn't.
No.
No, she doesn't have that much traction. Anyway, that's maybe you're right. I don't know. I don't want to be dictatorial here.
Yeah.
It's opinions. My opinion is that it's going to be Bloomberg. He's going to catch fire soon. He's got the potential right now because he has the money to put himself in front of the public with his millions of dollars, and whether we like it or not, he's going to be the
He's
nominee.
practical. He's practical.
Yeah, yes, and Biden is just has not been able to gain traction.
He's too old, to be honest with you. He's too
Well,
old and
he's
senile.
too old. He has too many things that
Right,
are
right.
handicapping him.
Baggage.
Yeah, negative. So, I think Bloomberg, and I think Kamala Harris, and or some other dark horse we haven't even mentioned here.
So Bloomberg opened the office. Did you see that? He opened the office in Center City.
Yeah, well,
Last week.
and I think to compete with Biden, who
Exactly.
has made Philly his headquarters. And we reached the end of this show. I want to thank both of you for coming to us today, and it's a great show. Thank you, Leticia Rodnixon.
Thank you.
And thank you, Martin Pratt. And I'm
De-
sorry I
de
call you
nada.
a brat, but it just matches Pratt, and I am a poet.
Feliz año 2020. Happy New Year.
Feliz año, Happy
2020.
New Year.
Happy New
to
Year.
everybody. Okay, and we have reached the end of this show. Les habló Fernando Mendez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero. Estuvimos otra vez de nuevo aquí con Leticia Roa Nixon y Martin Pratt. Hasta la próxima.